This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. This week we travel to Highland County and visit Allegheny Meats and find out how this much needed establishment is serving farmers in the southwestern parts of the state. We'll also have the Ag Calendar, a Minute in the Field video, and of course your Ag News of the Week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Governor McAuliffe recently announced new export sales of Virginia apples by Crown Orchard Company to a major Indian importer. The governor met with IG International, an Indian produce importer and distribution company, while in Mumbai, and witnessed the company's signing of an agreement to purchase apples from Crown Orchard Company of Covesville. The deal is a significant development that strengthens Virginia's partnership with one of the world's largest economies and population bases. Agricultural and forestry exports from Virginia reached a record high of $3.35 billion in 2014. While currently a relatively small market for these products, the Indian market is growing and holds strong potential for Virginia's agricultural and forestry industries. Well, from big data to the agricultural drones that can gather that information, farmers are investing in technology to improve their operations. Experts say this big data movement and the innovative technologies and analytics it yields could lead to at least as much change in agriculture as the Green Revolution and the adoption of biotechnology did. That's why drones have become such a hot topic in agricultural circles. Farmers growing higher value row crops might be able to improve their bottom lines with data images collected by commercial drones. The technology could potentially increase a farmer's revenue by $10 per acre, according to a recent study. The cattle markets are changing and producers need to handle the transition. In this segment from the American Angus Association, a Kansas-based commodity broker talks of how high-quality cattle help provide consistency in today's wild cattle markets. Bob Cervera has more.
Volatility, funds, risk management. If you've heard cattle market commentary in the past few months, you've heard all of these. A lot. Commodity broker Doug Dietz says the landscape is changing as rebuilding begins. Noticeable gains in cow herd inventory will begin to appear in 2016.
Then the multiplier effect kicks in. You've got more cows, more calves sitting in the ground, more beef production the following year or the 18 months down the road. So right now, though, we're expanding a liquidating herd, so we're just now making that switch from liquidation to expansion, and that's why supplies have been so restricted this year. But beginning next year, you'll gradually begin to see an increase in cattle supplies and beef supplies show up on the market. And it will exponentially increase every year after, as long as we continue in an expansion phase.
That's why index fund investors have left the market. They see long-term lower prices. Commodity funds that lost money are looking for more lucrative ventures. And that's why today's cattle market presents unique challenges.
What does a guy do? If you're in the business, you still got to be in the business. And it's a difficult decision. I think you basically just have to stay with your plan. There's not a risk management opportunity right now. If you have to do something, you buy a minimum pricing strategy like a long put option and leave the top side open of the market.
Dietz also says there is one constant that can help buffer some of the wild swings.
If you handle quality cattle, and many of us do anymore, stay with the program. That hasn't changed. That's been probably the most consistent thing through this whole process, is the demand for high quality beef has held up extremely well. There are still premiums out there. You can still get them. Why anybody would veer from that is beyond me.
I'm Bob Cervera.
Thanks, Bob. Every year, Virginia Senator Mark Warner purchases a Virginia-grown Christmas tree to display in his office during the holidays. This year's tree is a 14-foot Fraser fir grown at Mount Rogers Tree Farm in Grayson County by Rodney and Cynthia Richardson. Senator Warner recently invited 50 second-grade students from Mount Vernon Community School in Alexandria for a tree trimming party. The students, who are part of a dual English-Spanish language curriculum, serenaded the senator with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and helped decorate the tree with their own handmade ornaments. Christmas trees are a growing industry for Virginia. According to the USDA, the state ranks 7th in tree production, with nearly 500,000 Christmas trees harvested based on the most recent data. Now, for more information about Virginia Christmas trees, visit the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association at virginiachristmastrees.org. Well, for farmers living in close proximity to larger towns, meat processing facilities are pretty easy to find. But for farmers in more remote areas like Highland County, Virginia, and Pocahontas County, West Virginia, having their beef, hogs, lambs, and other livestock processed meant a long, slow drive over the mountains, which put a lot of stress on their animals. Well, all that changed a few years ago, and today we'll find out how when we visit Allegheny Meats. That's straight ahead on Ag Insights. So today we're in Monterey, Virginia, and we're visiting Allegheny Meats. I'm joined by Betty Mitchell, and Betty is the executive director of the Highland Center. Betty, thank you so much for having us out here today.
Oh, appreciate being with you.
Well, before we get to Allegheny Meats, let's talk a little bit about the Highland Center. You're executive director there.
I am.
What is the Highland Center all about?
We are a catalyst for economic and cultural development in Highland County, and that was our role in bringing the Ag Center forward many years ago. That was our involvement.
Okay. Now, Allegheny Meats has been here for how long?
It's been in operation since April of 2012.
Okay. And how did it come to being? I mean, was there a need, or how did it happen?
Yeah, a lot of producers and people have been talking about this for years, and back in 2001 we had hoped to have a value-added producer grant from USDA, and that application was turned down, and then Margaret and Jim Morse of Mad Maggie Farm resurrected that in 2002, and then by 2004 they finished the project that they were doing looking at adding value to lamb in the area, and decided that one of the big stumbling blocks was processing. And so from that, a grant was written to the Appalachian Regional Commission, and they funded a feasibility study for the Ag Center.
Okay. So is this the only facility of its type in this area?
In the four-county area, which is really the region in which we're working, which is Bath and Highland in Virginia and Pocahontas and Pendleton, West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, so within that four-county area, it is.
So I'm sure there was a big need here.
There absolutely was. I mean, you came over the mountains today from Harrisonburg on 33, and you know the twists and turns.
Right.
So when you're thinking of animals being taken to the valley, which was the alternative for slaughter, it's quite a long drive for a live animal. So it's great to be able to have the processing here for the farmers.
It is. So is that what was happening before Allegheny Meats came to be? Was everybody hauling their animals across the mountain?
Yeah, and most people were selling as a commodity. My husband and I have a very small sheep farm. We have about 30 head, but anytime we wanted to have anything processed, it was really a day off work to go and take the animals over and wait and we had to bring the head and hide back. So, I mean, now living 5 minutes away, it's something you can do on the way to work.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Highland Center's role with Allegheny Meats. You helped get it started.
We did help get it started.
What is your role now?
We are now working and trying to do more with marketing so that the facility is fully utilized. You'll be going inside and seeing all the wonderful resources here, and we want to make sure that people are using it to its fullest capacity. So we have recently received a marketing grant from the USDA that will be a 2-year time frame that will be able to really highlight the farmers, let people know where to buy meats that are being processed here, and help develop a market beyond the four-county region, because obviously
Right.
population centers outside of these mountains are where we need to be sending more meat to really grow the economy.
Absolutely. And that website is called
We have one called Faces of Farmers.
Faces of Farmers.
Yeah, and that gives you the ability to see who's processing lamb, beef, hogs, whatever you're looking for.
Right, right. Getting to know where your food comes from.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I think we're going to go inside and look for Caroline Smith. She's going to tell us about more of what's going on here.
Right. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thanks for talking to us, Betty.
Bye-bye.
So we've caught up with Caroline Smith, and Caroline, you were on the board of managers for Allegheny Meats, correct?
That's true, I still am.
So here we are in the actual production room. We've got carcasses hanging behind us. Tell us a little bit about the services Allegheny Meats provides.
Allegheny Meats provides USDA inspected meat, and we also we process meat, and then we process meat for home use. We do a wide range of animals. We do goats and lambs, pigs, bison, and beef. So there's always a lot of change going on every day in what we're doing.
Okay. Now you guys haven't been open for that long, just a few years, but what are some things, how have you grown since the inception of this facility?
Well, one of the things I think is most exciting is that a number of producers have moved into selling meat as a business of their own. And so we weren't sure when we started what our percentage of USDA and home use meat was going to be. But certainly in lamb and pork and bison, that's almost all USDA. And I would say about half of our beef is now. And so that's meat that's being produced, and then the person who raised the beef is earning extra money by selling it directly.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about USDA because that really plays a big role here.
Right.
Because you are USDA inspected.
Correct.
So everything that comes out of the door. So explain to me why that makes a difference. Why does that make a difference for our farmers who are raising beef and lamb and bison?
Well, USDA means that we have a trained inspector who comes here and watches the animals at every step of the way. He watches them get off the trailer, he watches them load in before they're slaughtered, he watches to make sure that everything is clean and that the animals are treated well. Here in the processing room, they check the equipment constantly to make sure that we don't do anything to hurt anybody with the meat that comes out of here.
Okay. And I know that since the inception, Allegheny Meats has been very big on humane animal treatment.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that. Why is that so important?
Well, I think that one of the problems we're having in agriculture now is that there's a big crisis of confidence that people are, the end users of the meat are worrying about. With animal welfare approved, there's an inspector who comes through every year and watches what we do and talks to us about what we do. And it's just it's a way of helping people feel better about what they eat.
Right. And I know I've read where I know milk production goes up when our dairy cattle are kept comfortable and treated well. And I think it fares the same for beef cattle and lambs and other meat animals, that when they are taken care of, they have better meat.
Right.
They produce more.
Right. Well, and one of the nice things about this facility is that before, all of our farmers would have to take the animals over the mountain, and that's an hour to an hour and a half trip in a trailer, and it's just not, it's so nice to be able to just bring them up the road here.
Right. And that in itself is a big plus for the animals.
That's true.
Now, you are not only on the board of managers, but you are actually a farmer here in Highland County, and you raise beef?
I do.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, once I knew that Allegheny Meats was going to be built, I switched from raising cattle to raising beef. Actually, through the Animal Welfare Approved program, I found a butcher in the Washington, D.C. area who was making it his goal to sell only Animal Welfare Approved meat. And so we connected and liked each other, and he buys 5 animals every other month until I get bigger, and then he'll buy more. So
Okay.
It gives me a good production.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about what comes out of Allegheny Meats. Now, you do not have a retail store as of yet. Is that something that might be in the future?
We have permits we have permission from the county to have a retail store. We just haven't figured out. We've set up our business so that individual producers bring their meat in, but we haven't really set up right now for Allegheny Meats to sell something.
Right.
So it would either be we're selling other people's meat, and we're still very small, and so we don't want, it's not useful at this point to have retail sales.
Right.
There are stores in Monterey that sell locally grown meat. They're getting to be restaurants, so people can get it and they can buy it here, but it's just not an official retail outlet.
Okay. All right, I want to talk a little bit about this carcass. On the other side, you can see that it's labeled not for sale.
Correct.
So tell us about the process. What's going to happen? This is a half of a beef.
Right.
What's going to happen to this that is labeled not for sale?
Well, someone has either bought this half, or the person who owns the animal is going to have it cut up into steaks and roasts and take it home.
Okay.
The benefit is, because it's processed in a USDA facility, it still has the same level of cleanliness and everything else. It's just that because it's for home consumption, it is not inspected. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be inspected.
All right. Now, when people come to Allegheny Meats, like if I want to buy a half a beef and I have an arrangement with my farmer to do that, and they say we use Allegheny Meats, do you provide me a cut sheet and then I can go through and select how I want my half cut in my steak thickness, or if I want organs? This one still has the kidneys on it, and
Right.
down lower we see the liver and tongue, I
Right,
think.
right.
And so do you provide a sheet for those folks to do that?
We do, and it's nice because our office manager is named Troy Sneed, and she works with every customer, because many people haven't had a beef cut up before, so or anything, and so she explains every cut of meat, and so when the customer and Troy have agreed, then we cut it up according to their specifications, because we're a custom facility.
Right. And then everything is packaged. Now, do you package in white paper or do you vacuum?
We do vacuum packing.
Okay.
We just have found it stays nice longer. People can see their meat. I mean,
Right.
it just has a lot more eye appeal.
Yes. So, Caroline, how many people are employed here at Allegheny Meats?
At this point, Allegheny Meats employs 8 full-time people. You have 1 person in front, 2 people or 3 people working on the kill floor, and then whatever the balance is working here in the processing room.
Okay. And is that how many days a week?
5 days a week from 8 until 5.
And everybody who's here are local residents?
Yes, they're all from West Virginia or from Virginia.
Okay.
Because Allegheny Meats was started out as a 4-county project, so there are 2 counties in West Virginia and 2 counties in Virginia, and we draw employees and customers from all 4 counties.
Okay. Well, if our viewers would like more information on Allegheny Meats, where should they go?
We have a website, www.alleghenymeats.com, and that's Allegheny with an A, Alleghany.
Okay. AlleghenyMeats.com. All right. Well, thank you so much for having us out here today. It's been really enjoyable, and we've got some beautiful cuts of meat here that they're going to end up being beautiful cuts.
That's true. Right now, they're just pretty carcasses.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you for coming. We're always, we would like to tell as many people as possible that we're here and that we do great service.
I think you do. It looks like a very well-oiled machine.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Holly trees are beautiful this time of year with their bright red berries. They also stay green throughout the summer months, and they're pretty easy to care for. With tips, here's Mark Viette.
Some of the plants that we plant in the garden might be small, but they get big. This is a variety of American holly, a native holly, and this variety is Merry Christmas. It's filled with beautiful berries. Now, I pruned this tree about 3 years ago, and I pruned it hard. Usually you can prune some of your hollies hard in late winter, maybe early spring, right before new growth begins. And I'll reach in. I'll take usually these pruners for this type of pruning. Again, this is the more rejuvenation pruning, the more drastic type of pruning. As you can see, this holly is beginning to block the windows. At one point, this holly will grow all the way out to here, and that just dwarfs the house and it's too big. So you reach in, and this is a great way to get your exercise. And I'm just going to cut like this, and I'm going to go all the way around the holly and do this. And it really does look drastic, but this is what the plant needs to be able to stay within its bounds and not be too big, because once they block the windows, you're losing the benefit of your holly. And if you look carefully in here, you can see where it was pruned 3 years ago all the way back to this point. So I am cutting it to about 20 inches from the main trunk, and I'll go up and down this whole tree here. And up here, for example, I'll do the same thing. And this plant will grow back and look just like it does now in about 3 years. And if I do find any like praying mantis eggs and things that, you know, and I have to prune them, I stick them back in the holly so they can hatch out. Now, there is another type of pruning that you can perform on hollies in the middle of summer, and that's more of a minor type of pruning, and I'll show you that right now. This holly here was also pruned severely 3 years ago. What I'm going to do is do more of a minor pruning. You can do some minor pruning on hollies in July. It's a great month. So I would just come in here, and instead of cutting branches way back in late winter or early spring, I'm just going to come in here and prune some of these branches, sort of to, you know, allow the light to come into the window. At the same time, you want to be able to see out the window. And what I'm doing is pruning anywhere from 6 to 12 inches off of this tree. It's just come in here and tip these branches. Just like this. And you can see already that it's really opened up this whole area, which, and I really like to prune in midsummer on my hollies, but again, it's a minor form as compared to the severe form. But this really keeps your hollies within bounds. You know, the other choice is to replace the holly, which I really don't like to do. The minor pruning also allows for the birds to nest in this holly during the spring. So I wait till the birds have nested, had their young, because doves and blue jays will nest in this, and then I do the midsummer pruning like this to keep it in bounds. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, there are several dairy management workshops coming up in January. They will cover analysis of investments, different production systems, investment for purchasing, and the expansion process. All farmers and extension agents are welcome. More information can be found at the web address on your screen. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming. Check out Virginia Farming on Facebook. Virginia Farming's Facebook page is a great way to stay connected with Virginia agriculture. You might even find some humor there too. You'll find links to events and happenings all over the Commonwealth that are of interest to farmers and consumers alike. So connect with us and share your stories and photos with the Virginia farming community and keep up to date on all things agriculture. Virginia Farming on Facebook.
From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.